lot in there, just like we want to do the kernels. Anything else you want to add on to? So that's the finishing stage. Anything right after harvest you think guys ought to think about? I guess leave guys with that heart. We're in the combines, we're in the machines, we're thinking through this process of the applications we made, we didn't make. It's the report card time. When you're going across that field, based off your observation and working all over the world, what are some things that guys should keep in mind as they're going across? Things to look for, things to notice, things to think future, next year. Usually when you're in the combine, you're not thinking too hard about next year, but I think we all have that, or are guilty of, if I'd have done this, we could have maybe gotten an extra this. So when we're processing these thoughts and looking at next year, setting the stage for the next round?
Well, that's, I think, a good question. And I pick on guys a lot and say, I'm a trained field agronomist. Mm-hmm. We walk fields, we'll take four-wheelers out and do things like that, particularly when I was younger. And then I see a lot of my farmer friends, and man, they're not walking those fields enough. And they're really...
The drive-by look?
I mean, the 60-mile-an-hour weed.
That's right.
Yep, looks good.
Yep.
And it's... but we joke about it. But the combine is actually a great time to start looking at your fields. And you're going to have... And now, I have to say, I get to ride with guys sometimes when I'm showing up at the right time, and we're driving the field in the combine. The technology, and I'm not an equipment guy, the technology you guys got is absolutely amazing, what you can measure and look at. So one of the things I think I would do is maybe take some of those flags we were talking about earlier, the different colored metal flags, and let's maybe have a blue and a red. And maybe we can flag some of those really hot spots, the real good places where the yield is jumping out of the books. And also, let's flag some of those thinner spots and some of the places where we've always had problems, or some of the places with big weed issues and things like that. Then, after the crop's all off the ground, and maybe you rested for a month because harvest is a lot of work.
Yes.
But then we have a lot of time to think, particularly before the ground's completely frozen, or even in the spring when it's kind of still mucky and sticking to your boots. Then we can go there, and then this will hit another one of my sore spots with agriculture today. But then we can take meaningful samples. And so there's a lot of different tests going on now. I mean, we've always done soil tests, right?
Yeah.
And tissue tests aren't new. Now we're starting to see a lot of things like in this sap testing and different things across here and there. And then I'll get a lot of questions about this, These tests, all of them, including your soil tests, are absolutely meaningless to me, the interpreter, or, me, the agronomist, me, the scientist. It doesn't matter what any one of those, they're snapshots in time. But let's say you just flagged, 20 hot spots on your 2,000 acres that you saw great results with that bean or that corn crop. And you just flagged me now 20 spots that were cold, and red flags. Now we can start looking at a bulk sample, or, take a few cores from the blues, take a few cores from the reds, and now we'll have two tests. And we'll look at this, and we can start looking at everything from your hybrid to your base saturation to the wind exposure to the biological life in those patches. And now what we've done is ground truthed your testing. And now I can start helping you when we read the differences. Because what's important to us on the farm is not this report, oh boy, we got 10 parts per million here.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. This is 10 parts per million, this is 100 parts per million, this was bad, this was good. And now we can start to see what the problems and what the good things are, so we know how to address the farm next year. So,
building a trend line.
Yeah, we need to see the comparison. The comparison is what's important to us for the planning next year. Not necessarily, you should see my desk. I have piles of sap tests and tissue tests and soil tests, and it's you, Mr. Farmer, have to ground truth the test for us, Mr. Agronomist, to be able to tell you and make decisions from these tests.
Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.